Hey everyone, how are you doing? I hope that you guys are doing fine. Today, we'll start speaking about joints, which we are now continuing the other lesson that we were speaking about bones in it. Today's lesson is going to be about joints. Let's review a bit about the last lesson. We spoke about bones. Let's look at Mr. Skeleton. Do you see Mr. Skeleton here? Mr. Skeleton is made of bones. Mr. Skeleton actually has many bones. It has the legs bones, the arms bones, and these other bones. It has the skull and these other stuff. Mr. Skeleton here is made of bones. We said that bones are hard material that actually are made of a hard material that protect our body and keep our shape as it is. So by having bones, we keep our shape and actually be able to walk around wherever we want to go. Yeah, we would also need the bones to protect the important parts of our body, like our lungs that are here, and also our brain that's here. That's what we have to protect. We use them to protect these important parts of our body. And we said that their name came from the Latin language to make it easier for us to study about them. So we got them from the Latin language. The names are from the Latin language, and that made it very easy for us to study about the bones. Also, we said that kids, or let's say babies, have more bones than adults. They have 270 bones, and adults had 206 bones. That's another thing. And that was all about bones. Now, let's think about a bone that's moving when we are moving our body. If bones are hard and they're like it's very hard part of your body, how do you move your body? From this question, we start speaking about another thing, joints. So in order to speak about joints, I'll need you guys to bring your pencils out, bring your highlighter, bring your notebook, and prepare your book and open your book on page 20. I'll write it here. I'll write it here for you. I'll write it here for you. Open page 20. Open page 20, come on. I'll be waiting. Yeah. So page 20, we start. So the first part of it, you should highlight this one here. You should highlight it until here. Highlight it. This is the definition of joints. Let's speak about it. Let's say that wherever two bones meet, there's a joint. There is one at each elbow, knee, shoulder, and hip, and dozens in your hands, feet, and spine. This is about it. Highlight it. Highlight this one. So he starts speaking about it. We see what other examples of it do we have. Yeah. So look at Mr. Skeleton. Do you see this part of Mr. Skeleton? These are two bones of Mr. Skeleton that are stuck with one another, or they are placed on top of one another. Between them you have a joint. That's a joint. Do you see this one? That's a joint. It's connecting these two bones. By connecting these two bones, Mr. Skeleton can move this bone like this, in this direction, right and left, and can move this other one right and left too. So it can move its bones separately from one another without needing to be stuck just like it is if it had only one bone. If it had only one bone, it wouldn't be able to move them freely, as it can right now. So Mr. Skeleton can move itself freely because of the joints. So, so that was all that we were speaking about. Uh, Now we move on to another thing that is actually as much as important as the other one. We have to write a definition for joints, and this definition is going to be written here on the notes. You have to write this definition on your notebooks, okay? So as soon as I write it, you guys are going to write it too, and I'll give you time for that, of course. So let's start. Let's start with what do we mean with joints? This is the question. It's telling us, or it's asking us, what do we mean with joints? Now here we're going to write what do we mean with it, like what do we mean when you say joints. So what we're going to write is going to be the following: the meeting point, or the meeting point between two bones. That's going to be it. Okay, it's the meeting point between two bones. So you have one bone and the other one. Let's look at this one. That's one, and this is the other one. Where they meet is here, so this is called the joint. Write this one. You have time. You have time to write that one. Yeah. So we now move on to start speaking about the other things. We are going to speak about uh, the different types of joints. We'll speak now about the different types of joints. Let's start. Uh, there are many shapes of joints. Now, there are some joints that are just like that. You see here. Or let me show it to you with Mr. Skeleton. These joints that are here, they are different from this other joint because here there are two long bones, and here that's a wrist joint. This joint here, the wrist joint, is different from the other joint that's here, and it's different from the other one. So each joint has to do one thing. It has to do several things. Okay. Uh, One of them would glide you like this one, this way, and the other one may just move you right and left. Let's see. Names or types, or they say some types of joints. Okay, let's see some types of joints. One, number one, the pivot joint, the pivot joint. That's number one. Where is it? In the neck. That's one. Number two, hinge joint. Hinge joint. Where is that other one? This other one is in the fingers and elbow. It's in the elbow and fingers. Three. Let's speak about gliding joint. Where's that other one? This other one? In the hand wrists. In the wrist, let's see. That's all about it. So these are the types of joints. There are several more types, but we are speaking about these types. These are the most important ones. Write this one down and we'll see. Yeah, so I'll be waiting for you to write these stuff. They're important, of course. So, what do we have to highlight? Let's get our highlighter. Get your highlighter. Come on, guys. Your highlighters. Let's highlight some things. Yeah? Did you get your highlighters? Good. Then now we start highlighting. Do you see the pivot joint? This one, the first one? Highlight it. Joint, like the one at the top of your neck. At the top of your neck. And allows one bone to rotate against another. So one bone is fixed and the other one rotates. So one of them does not move. That's about it. That's the first type. Let's look at the second type. In gliding joints, bones simply slide over each other. There are some of these in your wrists. So they slide on top of one another. So they don't actually just move from their place just like any other bones, but these slide on one another. These are the gliding bones, and they do exist in our wrists, or the gliding joints. Hinge joints, found in fingers, elbows, and knees, work like a door. Work like a door hinge. They flex in one direction only. That's why they call it the hinge joint. And of course, we have the cartilaginous joints that you see here and the ball and socket joints. But these are a bit complex, so I'm not going to explain about it a lot, okay? That's about them. Let's look at something else. If you guys highlighted these stuff that I told you to highlight, and I'll keep it here in front of you, I'll not take it anywhere, do it. And this is another picture, as you see here. You see the joints. The joints here are marked in this circular shape. These are the joints. He has joints here and here and here. Here too. Here. Here. Any place in your body that can move in angles, it would probably contain a joint. Or it should. Yeah? So as you highlighted the other one, yeah. Let's see. What do we have else? This is about it. So, joints actually put your bones together just like Lego. Do you see these Legos? Do you see these? Consider these your bones and these part of them are your joints. Like you put them on top of one another so they stick together. So they don't just uh, tear apart or fall apart down. But what is the thing that actually keep them together? Okay, let's see what is that thing. Here, let's write another question, a very important question. How are bones connected to joints? What are the things that connect bones to joints? How can they remain together without falling apart? Do you see? Do you see this skeleton? Do you see these bones? Why can this bones get stuck with this other one without falling apart? What is the thing that keep them just like that? Keep them together. Okay. The thing that keeps them together are called the ligaments, okay? They are connected by the ligaments. That is about it. They are connected with one another with the help of ligaments. That's what what is the thing that keeps them together. Yeah. So you should write this one. Write it, and I'll be waiting for you. So they're all kept like Legos that are attached to one another by the ligaments. Legos are actually a very good example of bones that are sticking together and staying together without moving apart. Yeah. So you have to write these ones. As you guys write these ones and you get it done with it, we should now move to now speak about another thing. So you see in this picture, we have the shapes of the joints. That's another joint. That's another joint. Here in this picture, it shows you the joints that we have in our body. These are the positions that we have joints in them. These are the places in our body that we have joints. And then these are other joints that we have. And each joint actually has a shape. It has a unique shape, and this shape helps it to do a different task, like moving in a particular way. This is about it. These are the joints. But now we should now speak about something else. What makes these joints so flexible? Why can we move them easily? What is the thing that keeps them moving easily? Do you know, guys? Did you read anything about it? Do you see? There is a liquid here in between the joints that help these bones to move against each other. This liquid is called what? Let's see. What is the fluid that is in the joints? Now, the name of this fluid is the synovian fluid. Let's look at this one. Synovian fluid. This is about it. That's its name. It's the synovian fluid. It's a fluid, or let's say a liquid, that's in our joints that works like oil. Oil makes things slippery, right? It makes them slippery. So this fluid too, the synovian fluid, makes the joints slippery so we can move them easily. Whenever we're walking or anything, old people, old people like our grandparents, they get some pain with their joints as they age because the synovian liquid gets fewer and fewer with age, so their joints may start hurting them. Because they can't move their joints easily enough from now on because there is no more synovian liquid, and that's why they can't move their joints as good as we do. They can't run as fast as we do. Their joints hurt them because they don't have enough synovian fluid. But we, as young people, we have this synovian fluid, we have much of it, so we can move our joints easily. This is about it. That's about it. So we now move on, but before we speak about anything else, write this one. This one, guys, write it. You have to write this one carefully. Write it now carefully. After you write it, now we speak about something else. So after writing this one, I want you now to highlight the following thing. Let's highlight. Bring your highlighter out. Let's start. Oil and cushions. If your bones scarp together when they move, it would be very painful and cracky. Instead, most joints are kept well oiled. Do you see? They're speaking about an oil called the synovial fluid. So they are held oiled, so the synovial fluid wouldn't prevent them from hurting one another. So bones wouldn't start hurting as they hurt when you don't have it. As a grown up, like a very old, let's say, if we see very old men, like our grandparents maybe, their joints hurt a bit because they don't have a lot of synovial oil, or let's say the synovial fluid. Let's come here. And we have the ligaments that we spoke about them. They hold together two bones on either sides of joints. Ligaments hold together the two bones on either side of the joint to stop them from falling apart. That's what keeps the joints all together without actually falling apart. Okay? This is what keeps the joints, or let's say bones, all together. So again, if we speak ourselves, or let's say if we ask ourselves, why do we need the joints after all of that? All of what we have studied about the joints. We've been speaking about joints for roughly for a very long time now. Let's see. And you'll have to write the reason why do we need the joints. Why did we need the joints in the first place? Why do we need all of these complex things in our bodies? Okay, let's see. Because they make it possible for bones to move in angles. You see, they make it possible for bones to move in different directions, so they don't just get fixed in their place. This is all about it. That's what we have. It's a very important thing that you write this one and continue your highlightings. These are going to be important for you whenever you're answering any question during the exams or anything. And yet, of course, whenever we are done from explaining, we'll be solving some questions about the same subject that we have today. Let's start. Drop your things now. If you are done from writing, if you are done from highlighting, if you are done from everything, drop your stuff right now. Let's start. Let's start with some questions. I'll bring it now. Yes, we start. What are joints? The first question. Let's see if you can answer these questions or not. What are joints? Can you answer? What are joints? Yeah? I'll be waiting for you so you can remember it. Or maybe if you couldn't remember it, just review it. Let's see if your answer is going to be correct or not. Yes, of course. So joints are the meeting points between two bones. The meeting point. Let's say just point. Let's see. Why do we need joints? That's another question that I brought it for you. After all, why do we need joints? Can you think about it? Thinking of any reason why do we need joints? What is so important thing about joints? Yeah, so joints help at what? Moving bones in angles, or they make it possible to move bones in angles. This is about them. What is the fluid that's in the joints? What do we call this fluid that we see it in the joints? Yeah? Yeah. So now we'd move on to answer this question. Did you get any answer for it? Yeah. What is the fluid? The fluid's name is synovian fluid. Synovian fluid. This is about it. It's the synovian fluid. Now, this question has a very long answer. Some types of joints, or tell me the main types of joints. Tell me the main types of joints. Yeah. We now know that we have the pivot joint. That's the first type of joint. It's in the neck. Let's see the other type, the hinge joint. Where is it? In the fingers and elbow. And we'll of course have the gliding joint. Where is it? It's in the hands and wrists. That's about it. These are the three types of joints. You have to know them. You have the pivot joint, and you have the hinge joint, and you have the gliding joint. And each one of them do exist in one place. The pivot joint is in the neck. You have the hinge joint in the fingers and elbow. You have the gliding joint. It's in the wrist. Did you get that? Now look at the last question. The last question, how are the bones connected to joints? How are the joints connected to the bones? Or how are the bones connected to the joints? It's the same thing. How do we connect them all together with one another? It is basically the same thing. Yeah. So here the answer is going to be by the synovian, or no, here is going to be they're connected by the ligaments. They are connected by the ligaments. That's how are they connected to one another. Did you get that? Were these questions easy? If these questions were so easy for you, they're going to be as easy as any other exam that we're going to do. And that's actually going to be it for today's lesson, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. And for the next lesson, we'll be speaking about something else. Bye bye.